Retired Supreme Court Justice Stephen Breyer spent nearly 3 decades on the high courts. In the newest chapter of his life, at a time where the country is focused on several high-profile arguments, the retired justice is opening up about how he tackled some of the nation's most divisive cases. In his latest book, Reading the Constitution, Why I Chose Pragmatism, Not Textualism, he explains his longtime outlook on the court, the Constitution, and his opposition to an originalist approach. He joins me for this week's Sunday special. What do you say to your colleagues who, listen, years on the bench, I saw this. There were many disagreements where they said, nope, we're only going with what's in that book.
Well, Nino Scalia, and I used to discuss this all the time, particularly with students. And we went to Lubbock, Texas, for example. We were at a football stadium. They must have thought there was a football game, but they'd never seen a Supreme Court judge. And we talked about it. And before you know it, it was clear to them we liked each other. It was also clear we didn't agree. So I say, look, this document, written more than 200 years ago, says 1788, 1789. I'd say, look, hey, things have changed. The values don't change. The freedom of speech stands for certain values, but what it's applying to changes. So I say, Nino, George Washington did not know about the internet. And so Nino says, I knew that.
I don't look to the intent of the framers. I don't care if they had some secret intent. Once again, I look to the words of the Constitution. But I ask, what did those words mean to the society that adopted them?
So he says, Stephen, the problem with your approach, looking at these different things, is it's too complicated. It's too complicated. You're the only one who can do it. I admit you can, but not everybody can. He sort of admitted it. But then I say to him, if we follow your approach, we'll have a constitution that no one would want. And so there you have the essence of the argument.
We are seeing all over the country right now these explosive conversations, protests on college campuses. You were one of the 8 in the 8-1 decision with Westboro Baptist, which nearly everyone agrees is absolutely reprehensible in what they say and what they do. But of course, that's where the First Amendment is important. So how are college administrators to navigate what's happening on college campuses?
We have the words, the freedom of speech. And we know what they're intended to do pretty much. You and I can have discussions where we really disagree, if we want. And we can have all kinds of ideas, sometimes called the marketplace of ideas. And now you ask me, how does that apply to what? To a situation where I am not present, where I've had no evidence, when I don't know what's actually going on. I don't want to admit that, given the news is covering nothing else, but I'm not sure. Well, that's the job. You get the evidence. You try to find out. Are there real threats here to people? What is going on? Of course you can't go and hurt other people. Of course you cannot advocate where it's real that somebody's going to be hurt. Of course not. If a right to your point of view, yes. Okay? That's like so many constitutional issues. It's rarely good versus bad. It is often good versus good. And you've got to figure out, where does this fit?
There are some who think that it behooves them to pressure justices publicly when they think it's time for them to retire. You made your own choice and walked away. What do you make of these public calls, whether they come from academia or op-ed pages, telling any particular justice, we think now is a good time for
Well, I think anybody can say what he wants, And I was 83 years old, just about, I think, when I retired. But Justice Sotomayor is not. She is a spring chicken.
She is.
Yes, she is. And
I saw her in arguments today, and she seems fully robust intellectually and physically, mentally.
What is plausible about the president assisting in creating a fraudulent slate of electoral candidates?
I said, there is a difference. She is a spring chicken and I am an old rooster. And there we are. But people can say what they want. The decision about what to do is up to the judge.
It's a lifetime appointment.
Yeah, I mean, you can say that you're 150 years old if you want. But in my mind, at least, there did come a time, and I guess 83, 84, 85, I don't know exactly how many 80s you want in there, but it's time for another person.